Gore Mapendika, and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. I am Glenora Shipura. Getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Northwest man gets life sentence overturned after killing a pregnant wife with half of a scissor. Rwanda starts vaccine trials against deadly Marburg virus, and thousands demonstrate in Accra against illegal mining in Ghana. We'll also be talking to talent Gore, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Zimbabwe, and Ari Hohat a little bit later on will be bringing us the latest news in the world of sports. We'll be right back.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Getting into our top stories, starting off in South Africa. A 41-year-old Northwest man who fatally stabbed his pregnant wife with scissors has successfully overturned his life imprisonment sentence. The father was found to have killed the deceased in a brutal fashion in full view of their children in 2022. A post-mortem report revealed that the woman, referred to as MCM in a court judgment, was pregnant at the time of her death. In a statement signed on the 29th of May 2023 and submitted through his lawyer during his trial at the Taung Regional Court, he disclosed details of the crime. Tam revealed that on the day of the murder, he was at home doing laundry and had no food. He waited for his wife to return from work to ask her for money. The man stated that he saw his wife walking with their two children to the taxi and decided to follow them to make the request. However, an argument erupted before she could go into the taxi and he lost his temper. He admitted to pulling out half of a scissor that he had with him and stabbing his wife. After she collapsed to the ground, he left her there and returned home. The next day, he turned himself into the police and was arrested for murder. He also admitted that he had not acted in self-defense as his wife was unarmed and posed no threat to his life. The state confirmed that it would not be calling more witnesses after accepting Tam's guilty plea. Instead, the prosecution submitted a post-mortem report and a photo album depicting the wounds on the deceased victim and the victim impact statements from the couple's 3 children, a 19-year-old daughter and 2 sons aged 16 and 8, were also presented. The state argued that there were no substantial and compelling circumstances to justify a sentence lighter than the life imprisonment of 25 years. Moving over to Rwanda, Rwanda has said it will begin vaccine trials for the fatal Marburg virus, which has already killed at least 12 people in the country, most of them health workers. The East African country has received 700 doses of the vaccine from the Sabin Vaccine Institute, a US-based nonprofit organization. Those most at risk, like doctors and those who have come in contact with Marburg patients, will be the initial target for the vaccine, according to Health Minister Sabin Nasiman. Now, the highly infectious disease is similar to Ebola, with symptoms including fever, muscle pains, diarrhea, vomiting, and in some cases, death through extreme blood loss. There have been at least 46 cases in Rwanda, according to the Health Ministry. This is the first time the virus has been found in the country, and the source is still unknown. Nasiman said, now people should not worry about health concerns about the vaccine, as trials had already been held in Kenya and Uganda. The Marburg vaccine has only been tested in adults aged 18 and older, with no current plans to conduct trials in children. In our next story, moving over to Ghana, thousands of demonstrators filled the streets of Ghana's capital, calling for an end to illegal mining in the country, also known as Galamsey. Some in the crowd insisted that they would continue to pressure the government until it addresses the issue and its damaging impact on the environment. My motivation is to see that illegal mining stops in Ghana. We need to keep taking action. We need to keep going on strikes. We need to keep protesting to catch their attention because they are acting like they haven't seen it, but we know they have, said one attendee. Now, the protest took place from Thursday to Saturday. Unlike a previous demonstration in September organized by the pressure group Democracy Hub, the police did not interfere with the protest. Determined to push the government to take action, the Catholic Church is gearing up for a peaceful demonstration against illegal mining on Friday, while the country's labor unions are set to declare a nationwide strike on Thursday. This attitude of the government is not surprising because we've had some of the members of government say blatantly that they are not stopping now, they are not stopping anytime now. All it means is that it affirms the stance and the president who went to beg the labor union. Moving over to Tunisia, Tunisians voted on Sunday in an election in which President Kais Saied is seeking a second term, with his main rival suddenly jailed last month and most opponents imprisoned or barred from running. Sunday's election pits Saied against two rivals, his former ally turned a critic, CHAP party leader Zohia Magazura, and Ayachi Zamel, who had been seen as posing a big threat to Saied until he was jailed last month. Tunisia had for years been hailed as the only relative success story of the 2011 Arab Spring uprising for introducing a competitive, though flawed, democracy following decades of autocratic rule. However, rights groups now say Saied, in power since 2019, has undone many of those democratic gains while removing institutional and legal checks on his power. Saied, who's 66, has rejected criticism of his actions, saying he is fighting a corrupt elite and traitors, and that he will not be a dictator. The Election Commission said turnout by 1 p.m. was 14%, just under 10 million Tunisians are eligible to vote. Now, polls close at 6 p.m. and results are expected in the next 2 days. Political tensions have risen since an electoral commission named by Saied disqualified 3 prominent candidates last month, and protests by opposition and civil society groups. Lawmakers loyal to Saied then approved a law last week stripping the administrative court of authority over election disputes. This court is widely seen as the country's last independent judicial body after Saied dissolved the Supreme Judicial Council and dismissed dozens of judges in 2022. In the last of our top stories, the Mozambican Medical Association has suspended the national doctors' strike that was due to begin on Sunday. According to the AMM chairperson Napelio Viola, cited by the independent television station STV, a general meeting of doctors held on Friday decided to suspend the strike. The AAM believed there had been advances in its negotiations with the government, and suspending the strike would give the government more time to respond to all the doctors' demands. Hence, according to an AMM press release, the AMM has decided to continue prioritizing dialogue and joint work as a primordial way of achieving its goals. That brings us to the end of our top stories. On the other side of the break, we'll be talking to talent Gore, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Zimbabwe.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Getting into our stories from the House of Stone, Zimbabwe compensates foreign and local farmers over land invasion, the finance minister has said. Now here to bring us this story and more news from Zimbabwe is Talent Gore. Good morning, Talent. Can you get into the first story?
Good morning, Glenora. So the Zimbabwean government will this month pay an initial of 20 million to foreign white and local black farmers who lost their land in farm invasions under President Robert Mugabe in the early 2000s. At the turn of the century. So the land invasion started in 2000. So the government has said that they're going to pay an initial 20 million to compensate the farmers who lost their farms, whether white or black. Well, this was said by the finance minister, Professor Mthuli Ncube, on Friday. He said that the spending was allocated in the 2024 budget as a part of a series of measures to restore the country's once thriving farming sector and also help launch a long-promised economic revival. The victims being compensated include foreign farmers from Belgium, Germany, and other countries, and 400 black Zimbabweans who also lost their farms. A separate and much larger 3.5 billion United States dollars scheme for 4,000 white Zimbabwean farmers was also announced in 2020, but the money has not been forthcoming. The government has not been able to pay the Zimbabwean white commercial farmers that money because they're saying that right now we do not have the financial capacity to compensate them. But the government is also saying that this week they'll be able to pay 20 million United States dollars to some of the farmers who lost their farms during the early 2000 land invasions.
Talent, getting into your next story, over 4 million US dollars stolen in Zimbabwe's biggest cash heist. How did this happen?
Yes, on Thursday, 6 armed robbers pulled off Zimbabwe's biggest cash heist in history when they robbed a cash in transit van of over 4 million United States dollars on a busy day in Bulawayo. So you find out that Bulawayo is Zimbabwe's second largest city, and this incident took place at around 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. And the safeguard van that you can see in the picture was actually parked at a bank, EcoBank, in Bulawayo, ready to transport cash from that bank premises. Apparently, the safeguard van had just picked up the cash in metal boxes from the EcoBank branch, and when they were about to leave, men armed with AK-47s quickly surrounded the truck and subdued the guards. Afternoon shoppers took videos and pictures as the armed robbers, who were wearing a face mask, got away with their cash. Apparently, nothing happened. People were just looking and they were not doing anything. You also find out that there are videos and pictures that are circulating on social media, and in one video, there's a policeman who's actually in that video who's also looking at the robbers getting away with the cash. So the police right now are saying that investigations are still underway and they're still looking for those robbers. Right now, no one has been found, and the robbers actually stole a car and put a registration number for another vehicle which actually belonged to a doctor. So the police, when they investigated, they found out that the registration plate, which was on the vehicle that the robbers had, belonged to another doctor who actually had lost his vehicle. So they took the plate and put it on their getaway car. So right now the police are still investigating, and they're saying that they haven't recovered anything. Right now investigations is still underway, but this is one of the biggest money heists, robberies that has happened in Zimbabwe, because we have never had, or we have never seen, a bank losing 4 million United States dollars in a robbery. So people are saying that it wasn't wise for the bank and for the safeguard security company to come without an escort, since they were carrying such a large sum of money. And also it is being said that the company, the safeguard vehicle which is transporting the money, was supposed to travel from Bulawayo to Harare with the money by road, which is about 400 kilometers away from each other. So people are saying that the haste doesn't make sense, and this can be alluded to an inside job. So yeah, that is all right now that is happening on that issue.
Do keep us posted on any further developments in this story. And thank you so much, Talent Gore, for bringing us the stories from the House of Stone.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
All right, it's always a pleasure having Talent Gore on Africa Good Morning. We now take a look at the weather predictions before we return with economic news. Getting right into our economic news stories, still with Zimbabwe. The government of Zimbabwe, in an attempt to mitigate the impact of the recent devaluation of the ZiG, has announced that salary raises and annual bonus for civil servants in the country will be paid in US dollars. According to the Minister of Public Service, Labor and Social Justice Welfare, July Muyo, the move by the government is aimed at uplifting lower-income employees from inflation and widespread poverty. The ZiG's rate was recently adjusted against the USD. That concludes our economic news. Let's take a look at our financial indicators before Ari Hohad brings us the latest in the world of sports. Is it big or what? You don't believe or what?
Size like from the waist up.
Now, when it comes to the world of sports, I only trust one man to keep me updated, and that is Ari Hohad. Here's Ari Hohad with the sports news.
Yes, morning, Lenora. Yes, it's lots of sports that happened over the weekend, and it is, let's start with the English Premier League, always very exciting, always lots of teams that we supported all over the globe, of course. And apologies, it is the top three of the English Premier League at the moment: Liverpool, Manchester City, and Arsenal, showing that those will probably be the three to beat this season. They've opened up a 3 point difference between them and the teams in 4th and 5th. So at the moment, Liverpool, after 7 games, every team has played 7 games. Liverpool, 18 points. They beat Crystal Palace away by 1-0. And then Manchester City, they kept on the winning ways, and they, at home, beat Fulham by 3-2. That's Erling Haaland in action for Manchester City. And then Arsenal, at home, also beating Southampton by 3-1. A good result, well, not a good result for Aston Villa or Manchester United. They drew 0-0, and that means that Aston Villa drops down a few points to 14th. And then Brighton with a good result. They beat Tottenham Hotspur, and that was 3-2. They came back from 2 goals down to beat Tottenham Hotspur 3-2. That was a home game for Brighton. So English Premier League will take a break this week. It's international football this weekend, back again on the 19th of October. On to T20 cricket. It's a women's T20 cricket at the moment. It's still group stages. It's being played in the United Arab Emirates. That's action from earlier. That was on Friday, South Africa beating the West Indies. And games on the weekend. Saturday, Australia beat Sri Lanka by 6 wickets. And then England, too strong for Bangladesh, beat them by 21 runs. And on Sunday, it was a big rivalry, India against Pakistan. India beating Pakistan by 6 wickets. There was just 7 balls left in that innings. It was a close game. And the West Indies beat Scotland by 6 wickets. So today it's a big game for South Africa. They play against England. And it is 4 p.m. Namibian time, that game, South Africa playing against England. That's the T20 Women's World Cup in Saudi Arabia, or United Arab Emirates, rather. On to golf news quickly. It is the Daniel Links Championship that was played. That's part of the DP World Tour, and lots of South Africans playing there. Also, lots of players from the Live Golf Initiative, and it was one of them, Tyrrell Hatton, that plays in the Live Golf Breakaway League. He won his third title at Alfred Dunhill, also won in 2016 and 2017. And a close win. He was 24 under par, just 1 shot ahead of Nicolas Colsaert of Belgium. And it was Hatton that's birdie, the 18th at St Andrews, to win the tournament. South African Robin Williams tied for 4th on 19 under par. And that's still Hatton there in action on his way to winning the Alfred Dunhill Links. Then to close off, some rugby news. Always quite interesting to look at the United Rugby Championships. And it is the 4 South African teams that all 4 of them had wins over the weekend. 2 at home, 2 away. The 2 at home that won was the Bulls that beat Ulster by 47-21. That's the game, the Lions against Edinburgh. Or that was an earlier game, the Lions against Ulster, actually, but the Lions beat Edinburgh by 55 points to 21. So that was good home wins for those 2 teams, good away wins. Impressive win for the Stormers, beating Zebra by 36 points to 5. And then it was the Sharks that had a try in injury time to beat the Dragons by 33 points to 30. And that is United Rugby Championship results. So that's the international sports news for today. Hope it's a great sport day for everyone and a great week. And we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Ari, for bringing us the latest in the world of sports. We now take a look at the highlights after this. If you're just joining Africa, good morning. Worry not, here are the highlights from today's broadcast. Northwest man gets life sentence overturned after killing pregnant wife with half of a scissor. Rwanda starts vaccine trials against deadly Marburg virus. Zimbabwe government to pay civil servants in US dollars due to devaluation of the ZiG. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining Africa Good Morning on this beautiful Monday morning. From me, Glenora Shipora, until next time.